Now I'm doing it for others and watching their dreams come true.
Just like we always do, we'll get through it, together with teamwork.
I think through the years, it's what has got us to where we are today. You have to train, you have to go through it. Man, working with Tony and Gary was awesome. Gary Tiberi, Movement Mortgage. He's been an originator for close to 20 years. Tony Zangari, another local Johnston guy, has a great aptitude for business. Sports brings out the competitive nature in almost everybody. Come across a lot of athletes in my life, and they are dedicated to getting better always. I've known Gary from the baseball field. Tony was an outstanding basketball player. These guys have taken that kind of mindset and moved it into real estate and mortgages. They just don't take no for an answer. So if they fail, they get back up, keep moving forward. So as you can see, we've got all the sports memorabilia here. We've got the baseball bat, the football, the basketball. So today we're talking about the MVPs of the real estate industry. To my right here is Tony Zangari from Century 21 Shoreline Properties. Everybody knows Mr. GT, Mr. Gary Tiberi from Movement Mortgage. Welcome, guys. Good to see you both. Good to see you both.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we're doing something a little different. We all come from athletic backgrounds. We've played basketball, and you can talk a little bit and brag about what we've all done. So we kind of came up with this thought about what can we do different than what most people are doing. And so we'll talk to you first, Tony, about obviously your love for basketball, your love for charity, your love for doing things in the community. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, you work for Century 21. How long you been doing real estate? And yeah, we'll go from there.
I've been doing real estate. I'm going on my third year now. I fell in love with it. I've had a passion for it since I was a young kid. I would go through neighborhoods with big houses, investigate the properties, and dream big. Now I'm doing it for others and watching their dreams come true every single day. As far as basketball is concerned, it's something that I've been passionate about my whole life. So that passion has changed into real estate. I've played the position as a point guard, so my job would be to facilitate and assist others, and that's exactly what I do in my everyday field.
Yeah, and that's nice. That's a good. And Gary, obviously, you and I actually met long before the industry.
On the diamond.
On the diamond, right? So, how do you think sports and business or sports and sales kind of work hand in hand? What do you think about? Is it passion? Is it one of those things that if you're in sports and you train? It's kind of a mindset, I think, right?
Absolutely. Definitely all about mindset, teamwork. Like Tony mentioned, the passion that goes into what you give to the sport. You want to be the best at the sport, so you put a lot into it. Same thing here with our business, right? We just carried it over to our business. We're very passionate about what we do, and helping people get to the finish line, score the touchdown, hit the home run, hit the winning basket. That's what we're all about.
So how long have you been in the mortgage business?
I've been in the mortgage business for about 18 years.
Oof, so you've seen a lot of ups and downs and craziness in the market.
Yeah, I went through the craziness in 2008 along with you. Made it out somehow. Not too many people made it through that.
Together after all these years.
Yeah, that was a tough time. We're going through a similar, tough time, if you will. But just like we always do, we'll get through it, together with teamwork. The relationships that we've built and cultivated is definitely the reason why we're at the top echelon. You know?
And so back to you, Tony, Gary's been in it, say, 18 years. I've been in it about the same time. You're the new guy, right? You're the youngster, but with passion, right? And
Absolutely.
And determination. And, and sports, I believe, does that with everybody. Because, if you didn't have good coaching and you didn't have good mentors, we probably wouldn't be the athletes that we are. I always say, if my coaches were ever coaching in today's day and age,
it'd be very difficult.
It'd be very difficult. I mean, I remember being grabbed by the face mask. They always had their favorites. The coaches always have their favorites, and I always talk about Mr. Nebraska, God bless his peace, God rest in peace. Is that he had the Gaffneys were big in Cranston and Warwick. They were big hockey players. Their father was the coach at PC, and they could do no wrong. And I'm sure you guys played with that. I was never the guy that could do anything right. I don't know how you guys felt about you. Maybe Tony. He was a little point guard, always in control.
Yeah.
But
I was hot-headed.
Yeah, hot-headed, right? Yeah. So I just remember the coaches just being so tough on me. But I think through the years, it's what has got us to where we are today.
Absolutely.
And you have to work hard. And you have to train. You have to go through it. And I think specialized knowledge is something, and I know that you've really passionate about where you want to take your career. We talked a little bit about that off camera. We talked a little about the last time we were all together, and you're all in, right? I mean, for the people that know
100%.
you, right, they know
Absolutely.
Tony as like...
The way I put
Yeah.
it, Dan, I tell individuals there are veterans that are sitting the bench and rookies that make the All-Star team.
Correct.
And that's all I'm going to tell you right there. On that
There we
point.
go. I like that. I like that. So even though that you may be a rookie, you feel like, the only difference between that is time, right?
Absolutely.
Being in the industry a long time, for sure.
That's it.
Yeah. So Tony, I mean, obviously you have a great story, right? You obviously did a bunch of different things before real estate, but tell me how you got into real estate. What made that decision for you? Give us a little background of who Tony Zangari was as a youngster.
So previously I was in the customer service field as a valet throughout the entire state of Rhode Island and Massachusetts as well. I presented a 5-star service.
Yes.
And that's what I try to do in real estate as well. So I had a customer service background. I would engage with clients. I would meet many different people that would come to the establishment, and I would develop relationships. And all these relationships built through all these years in my career as a valet drove me into real estate. A lot of the people that I was dealing with were involved in real estate, and I would love to hear their stories. So they would tell me their stories about real estate, and it would intrigue me even more to step into the field. And that's pretty much what brought me here, is actually the main factor of why I'm here today in this industry. I worked hard. I didn't take a night off. I mean, you had instant gratification when the money was in your pocket. Real estate is completely different.
Sure.
But it still has the same elements as providing a service, and that's the one aspect I love.
Super important. So, like, do you offer free valet when people come up to showings?
That's it. Yeah, if we have a packed open house, I may
You're out
maneuver
there,
their car.
you're out there,
Exactly.
yeah,
I may parallel park someone's car once
there
in
you
a
go.
while.
Absolutely.
Whatever it's going to take to
Whatever it's
provide a
gonna take to
service.
provide
Yeah,
a
that's what I'm
service.
going to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so Tony, I'm curious to know where your passion comes from. What makes you such a passionate individual?
I've been this way my entire life, Gary. This is life. You only have one. Me, I'm trying to make the best of it every single day, and I'm trying to spread positivity throughout any aspect of life that I could actually spread it. Through whether it's real estate or you and I just sitting here, or whether we're at lunch, whatever it may be, this is just who I am as an individual. This passion isn't always set into something. It has to be something that I truly love. And real estate is something that I truly love, just like the game of basketball and sports.
Yeah.
So I put my passion into that. So I found an outlet that I love just as much
Where do you
as
get
that.
all the energy?
Yeah, I know, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
I
Guys
mean,
up and down the court
a
is-
coffee in the morning helps. but
Energy's everything, right? Like,
Absolutely.
energy's everything. You have
Energy,
to
vibes.
passion,
You know?
all comes into the same.
That's why I
play.
love being around you two. I can't lie. You guys have that passion. I can tell every time I speak with you, and we put each other in the comfort zone. I know that if I have to rely on Gary, that my client is going to get the utmost of their experience with you, and that's all that matters to me.
So why investors?
Because investors, they're always looking for properties constantly. They're constantly in motion, and I'm constantly in
One
motion.
after another.
Yeah. It keeps
Exactly.
you engaged too, right? So it
Absolutely,
means you're
yeah.
searching more for properties for them.
Yeah.
You know that they're buying multiple properties,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah. I know that they're going to be on board continually, and I want to provide that service. I also want to be a second set of eyes for them. All right, I want to give them details of what is going to allow that property to sell, and it's one aspect of the business that I truly love.
Do you think investors are like more like the crazier type people? Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah, like, right? So that's
Absolutely.
the
They got all the money,
Yeah, that's
that's
the
for
great
sure.
thing about
I love
investors,
it.
right? Is
I
like
love it.
they all walks of life. Everybody's watched Flip or Flop. Everybody's watched the
Exactly, yeah.
show, right? And then all of a sudden you meet them for the first
they think
time.
it's that easy, but don't believe them shows. As we say. Yeah.
Isn't it almost like valet? Like you're always going to get a different person pulling up in a car, right?
That's it.
That's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
car. Right? It's like investors.
In real estate, period, but investors especially.
Yeah, yeah.
Every investor is different.
Yeah.
Look, I'm looking for land. I'm looking for distressed properties. I'm looking to wholesale as well too.
Sure.
So people that may have a burden on them financially and looking to get rid of the property, I'm here to buy it for you cash.
Yeah.
And that's really what I'm looking to game plan for 2023.
So I'm saying like Tony's going to have a ton of different irons in the fire for 2023 for sure.
So Gary, a first-time home buyer approaches you. They're looking to obtain a property. Okay, what steps are you going to take to get them started? I'm really interested.
First and foremost, I want to pump them up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I want to pump them up. This is an exciting,
Yeah, I'm
awesome
excited
thing that
about
you're doing.
the process.
Your parents would be very proud of you,
Yeah.
that type of thing.
Yeah.
But for me, there's three main components that I always go through with every client on every first phone call.
Yeah.
It's quick, it's precise, gets me the information that I need, and gets them what they need for us to move forward. So I talk about credit really quickly,
Yeah.
credit scores, accounts, debts that you have, student loans, vehicles.
Yeah.
If you're hocked to your ears in debt, or if you
Right.
have one credit card,
Right.
I want to know that right away.
Yeah.
And obviously, if they have a good handle on their credit, sometimes people are like, I have no clue. And that tells me something as well.
Right.
I move over to income. What are you doing for work? How long have you been there? How much money are you making? If they're self-employed, probably some more things I'm going to go through. If they're a W-2 employee, very simple. Then I move on to a down payment ability. You know, are we looking for around housing? Do we have any money? Are we broke? We need money for free. Or do we have money put aside? You know, our parents are giving us a gift or whatever the case is. So once I have those three main components of credit, income, and down payment assistance, you know, that's what allows me to get to the point where I can say, okay, you're looking good. You got to work on these couple things, or we're ready to move forward, and then we can start talking numbers, interest rates, price points, taxes, you know, in the different
one
areas.
Key element is debt to income.
Huge element.
Could you give me an understanding of debt to income?
Yeah, so basically, we're the bank, right?
DTI.
So we want to make sure that you can pay us back. We're giving you money, you got to be able to pay us, right? So that's the first thing that we talk about. If you don't have a job, you can't pay the money back, you're not getting a loan, pretty simply put, right? There are requirements. You do have to have a couple years worth of employment. So sometimes people are just getting out of school, you know, they got laid off, COVID screwed everybody up, quite frankly, you know, messed up the banking world completely for us. That's a whole different topic for a different video. But you know, in general, that's what I focus on.
Okay, because I've had individuals tell me, I make $20,000 a month, you know, and that's all good, and I have grade A credit. But if you're making $20,000 a month, but you're paying out $18,000 in bills, what good is that $20,000 a month?
Correct. So the bills come into play big. Because what you have for monthly obligations versus what you're bringing in for a monthly income, there's your debt to income ratio. So sometimes we're heavy on one side where we have way too much debt and we can't afford it, quite frankly, and that's a bigger issue, never mind buying a house. Or the other way around, you know, you make a good solid income and you don't have that many debts. That's ideal for us.
So how is it different for like somebody that wants to buy an investment property or they want to start getting into investments, right? But they're self-employed. You know, a lot of guys that are self-employed, they're trying to move money around. They're always trying to be on top of their taxes, or they haven't reported enough, or they have. Or how do they use rental income to qualify?
Exactly. So my wheels are turning. That's multi levels there on that question.
Right, but it's probably a more advanced question. But I mean, there are people that want to, like, so how do you
But two different big things that you're talking about there. So first and foremost, self-employed, like Tony mentioned, you have write-offs. You know, so you might gross $100,000, but if it costs you $90,000 to run your business, you really only made that $10,000. So we have to address self-employed people a little bit differently than someone that gets a pay stub. So we would run through that. And of course, on an investment property, you know, to your question, we can use the rental income. So you can use 75% of all rental income coming into the household.
That's nice.
We have a 25% vacancy factor because we know that it's probably not going to be occupied the entire time. People are going to move out, maybe not pay you, fall on some tough times. So they give you 75% of that rental. That goes into your gross qualifying income. So it certainly helps you when you're buying a multifamily to qualify for higher price points, and you know, pays some of your mortgage. Quite frankly, you know, you're able to get
the monthly.
You get those rents in, and then it's less money for you to pay for your primary residence in that one unit that you're occupying.
And it's funny that you say that because, you know, a lot of self-employed people or borrowers, you know, I've heard it over the years. You know, I make $200,000 in construction, but they only on their their K1. Or their tax return, they only said they made $20,000. And they're like, well, yeah, I'm good for like they you know, I'm good for it. Like, you know what I mean?
They
like,
want, you know, really what's happening is they want to avoid the tax burden.
Right.
So if you claim $200,000, Uncle Sam is shaking you down.
Right.
You know, so they write it down. So it's a pretty unique time right now, being in the beginning of the year. I like to kind of address that with my clients and tell them that I'm happy to work with their CPA. You know, and try to work on things that you can utilize to bump up your income.
So we know everything about how movement became #1 in such a short period of time, but like tell the camera, like tell the people out there if they're listening to this, you know, why movement? Like why would they want to be here? Not that because they're #1, but like what's the things that you're passionate about internally here? Like is it
movement's the best. I mean, they give you the path to succeed like no other. So for us, we have all the tools that we need to make sure that you, as the buyer, have all the education and everything that you need to succeed to a high level. So from the ground up, you know, everybody's very passionate. Everyone really cares. I've never seen so many people involved in one transaction, everybody gets their hands in, everybody digs in. There's people emailing at midnight, 2 in the morning. It never stops here. You know, everyone's just all about it. And again, we're not just looking to take money from people and throw people into bad mortgages like years ago.
Yeah.
You know, we want to do good loans for good people.
And what
You know,
about what
help
they do in
families.
the, like, what about the community? Like, what's their impact in the community?
They do so many. I mean, we have movement schools. You know, they actually we have schools developed that movement built from the ground up. I mean, these kids and their parents, they write us letters and all. I mean, it's just it's really moving stuff. Well, you know, everything that they do.
Well, talking about athletes, talk about a little bit about the owner of the company.
Yeah, Casey Crawford. He's the owner. He was a former NFL tight end. Won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Bucks.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, he's a giant guy, good-looking guy, just very formidable.
Yeah. And do you think he's passionate about movement, passionate about the mortgage business like he was about playing professional football?
Unbelievably passionate.
Yeah.
You've never seen more passion. I encourage everybody to go Google Casey Crawford and watch some of the videos. This guy is like the most passionate individual.
Yeah, I've seen some of the schools. I've seen the community involvement.
I mean, it's more than I can even articulate to you. It's unbelievable the things that movement does, and I encourage everybody to go look. I wouldn't be the best one to be able to put that all on the table. They're doing things that are way over my head.
Yeah.
You know, a portion of every loan we close goes into particular charities, and there's just so many aspects to movement giving back.
So it's not just about the mortgage.
It's the least about the mortgage.
Yeah,
which is kind of crazy, right? But it's the least about mortgages. It's more about the money that is cultivated from the mortgages to be able to pour into the community.
Yeah.
That's their whole thing, and the philanthropy is like on another planet.
Number one.
Yeah, it really is. So, and there's no reason, there's no mistake why we're number one, right?
Right, yeah.
Because we're not worrying about the dollars and the interest rates and the turmoil in the industry. We're worried about people.
Right.
And we really care. Yeah. So that's something you don't find with the bank.
So Tony, we know that you are 3 years now into the business, but why Limitless? Like, what drew you to Kyle Saboth's brokerage? Was it you played basketball against him when you were younger?
It's in the name.
It's in the name, right? Limitless, right? Yeah.
I still believe I can fly, Dan.
Yeah, well,
I'm not gonna lie. My wife laughs at me. I don't believe in limitations.
Yeah, well, that's
and
important.
Kyle has that same aspect in life, that same perspective, and it starts from the top and dwindles down, and I love it. Matt Patty, limitless.
Yeah.
He believes he can do anything. He's a philanthropist himself, Matt Patty.
Sure is.
In his own way, yeah,
Exactly,
absolutely.
yeah. And not only are they looking out for themselves, they're looking out for the entire brokerage. They want everybody to feel limitless. To be under that umbrella, I feel strong.
Yeah. So what's the day in a life when you walk into like an office like that and there's all of that great, energy, and like, does that make you feel like you made the right choice?
Absolutely, yeah. I feel like I definitely made the right choice. When I walk into the office, everybody's smiling. We're all a team. We're together. There's tons of camaraderie. And it starts from Matt. It starts from Kyle. They're smiling as they walk into. And they're aggressive with everything they do for their clients. They're passionate every aspect of the way, whether it's a transaction for an investor, a first-time home buyer, whatever it may be. They put their all in, and I'm the type of person that gives my all, so it's a great
Sounds
fit
like
for me.
somebody would want to work with you.
I would hope so.
Yeah, it sounds like somebody would, they would feed off that energy. I think energy.
Yep.
We've
Can't
really,
fake it. You really can't fake
like
it.
you have to get up every day with a purpose, right? And
We
you
all
have
have a
children,
purpose,
or you
that's
have
it.
a child to be coming.
Child on the way.
Yeah,
Yes.
we've got a couple in the pipe over here, and I've got myself, and and there's always, we have a why too,
Exactly.
But I think from an aging veteran of playing sports when we were younger, this is like the most competitive thing we can be, right? There's 9,000 real estate agents. I don't know how many loan offices there are. There's competition in title and closing. There's competition in film right now, and like who's doing the best video, and like if you're not working around the best and being around the best, I don't know how your model can continue to scale and become better.
As far as the competition aspect of things, I've always been an extremely competitive person,
Yeah,
but
I've
I
heard.
never ever competed against another individual in life. I want everybody to achieve their goals, Dan, and that's always who I'll be.
Yeah.
I focus on my achievements, don't get me wrong, but I will always praise the next person when they do reach a goal.
Well, that's
and that's
important.
always who I've been.
Just
So I
competing
compete
with
against
yourself.
myself.
That's it.
Exactly.
That's
I'm in competition with myself daily. And I'm a mental freak when it comes to it. I was a freak like that with basketball. I was a freak with weightlifting, and I'm going to continue to be that way my entire life.
Yeah.
I love challenges, and I love an uphill battle, and I'll continue to fight every day, whether it's for myself or for a client.
That's awesome. All right, so guys, as I always wrap up, I'll start with Tony first because newer relationship. So we're not talking about Gary here and how great movement is. We're just only going to concentrate on me. But so why Dan Balkan? Like, why Dan Balkan and why Balkan title?
Look at your presentation, Danny. It speaks for itself, honestly, from you and how you present yourself to how your office treats people. You love what you do. And when someone loves what they do, it shows in their work. Every time I've walked in your office, it's been all smiles, just a happy feeling. And that's what I need from my clients. I really do. Closing on a property is such a big achievement for an individual that it should be a celebration in the end.
Right.
And you bring that celebration to the closing. We won't talk about others, but sometimes that's not always the case. And I love what you do, and as an individual, you fit my business, and that's just me being upfront and forward with you, brother.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate
of course.
that. So, Gary, you and I have known each other long before this business. You know, we were both in the business, but we met on the field. You know, we met on the diamond, and you know, we started working together. Obviously, 5, 6, 7, 8 years now. We've been going through it. So, like, why do you feel good about working with Dan Balkan? Besides, forget the personal stuff, because that only takes you so far in this business. You know, people can like you, but if you don't do a good job and execute, but you know, why Dan Balkan? Why Balkan title?
Yeah, I mean, you said it well. It's execution. You know, you've always been on point for me. Your girls in the back room are like no other. Shout out to all my girls at Balkan title. You know, and like Tony said, it's an experience. You know, there's a big difference when you have. I mean, we close with a lot of people, and not to knock anybody, because everyone has their own thing, but it's really an experience for the client. And I'm trying to give the client such a 5-star experience the entire time. I don't want it to fall short at the end. That's when it should really be.
Plus, that's the last person you see, too,
Absolutely.
right? Yeah.
But again, on an execution level, I know you're going to pick up the phone when I need you. You know, I mean, 90% of files have problems, right? I mean, we wish they didn't, but they do, realistically. So the ability to find answers and get around these, you know, little hurdles that we have to get around, nobody's better at doing that, you know? So between, you know, the systems that we have in place and the updating that we have that allows us to communicate with the clients accordingly, and obviously my team and your team working cohesively together, I can't find a better fit. I've tried.
Cool.
I can't find a better fit.
Well, that's always good. So everyone, I hope you enjoyed everything that we did today. So for all your real estate needs, call Tony Zangari over at Century 21 Shoreline, Gary, GT, Tiberi, for all of your mortgage needs. And obviously I'm here for, you know, to quarterback everything, you know, for a smooth closing. We're looking forward to working with everybody. And if you have any questions, please take care, look at all of our contact information, and we'll talk to you soon. This one was really fun. Both of these guys do something very well together. They're both people persons. They're always out and about. They know a lot of people. Seeing people grow and that momentum of getting out of their comfort zone, that's the energy that I'm looking for out of people that I like to work with.